Okay, so any real power user is going to mess around with the system preferences that are available in an operating system. So for a Mac, if you click on the Apple logo and go to System Preferences, um, these are all a bunch of different settings for a bunch of random things that you can configure. So we're going to go over a couple of them, but I would say that all of these are sort of worth exploring and trying to understand a little bit. The more you do research and understand how what each of these things are, then the more advanced you will be of a computer user. So let's take a look at something that affects the speed of your computer, which is under Users and Groups. Um, and that is not your password, but under login items, you'll see that these are programs that automatically open when you log in. Now, there's going to be stuff in here that you did not sort of ask for it to do. Once you install new programs, some of them, a lot of programs like to shove in things to make their apps feel faster because they're sort of loading up in the background. So you open up the app, and instead of it taking 5 seconds to load, it feels instantaneous. But how did it load so fast? It actually slowed down when you first logged in or first turned on your computer. Those 5 seconds were taken up at the beginning, so that's why your computer takes so long to get started. So it's kind of a cheat. So if there's a program that you don't want to start up when you log in, you can go ahead and hit a minus right there to get rid of it. Now, some programs you actually do might want to have start up, so you're going to have to be a little bit judicious about that. But if it's stuff that you're like, I don't even know what that is, do some research, figure it out, try and kill it. That iTunes helper, if you open up iTunes again, it might shove itself back in there. So this isn't going to be like a perfect solution, but it is a good place to look to see when you're trying to figure out like, why does my computer feel like it's taking so long to start up, or why is there a bunch of stuff that's loading up that I didn't start running. So this is a good place to check. To go back to the main page, you can either click on this or click back. Um, so there are some other options that you might want to play around with. Your App Store down here. There's some settings that also can affect your speed because your App Store is automatically checking for updates. You can turn that off, although if you do, it's your responsibility to constantly download new updates. Now, updates to apps are not nearly as important as updates to your operating system or updates to like the operating system security. So you kind of do, if you do turn this off, which some people do, you just have to be very conscientious that you're making it your manual responsibility to check for updates and install them. It's pretty easy to check for updates. You just open up the App Store, and the App Store will start checking for updates on its own. So if you're paranoid about using data or your program doing stuff behind your back, you would turn this off and you sort of do it yourself. But it's up to you, like leaving everything on. Then this is what's going to cause your operating system to sort of pop a notification saying, new updates have been installed. Your computer's going to restart in 3 seconds, and you're in the middle of a presentation, and you're like, oh man. So that's where this stuff happens, and so you can sort of configure that um, in a way that makes sense for you. Let's see, other things to look out for. You can configure your dock. And this is sort of more of a minor tweak, but right now, like default, right now Macs, when you minimize Windows, they minimize with this weird little genie effect, and it actually kind of is a I guess it's kind of cool looking. It's kind of annoying to me because it takes time for it to happen, and you can't. I'd rather just turn the effect off. I would rather just snap right into the dock. But at least switching it to the scale effect means it's sort of like it's a little bit less annoying. Or you'll note that you can configure lots of stuff about your dock in general. Um, you can turn off animations for opening applications, and again, turning off animations doesn't really speed up your computer. Just perceptually, it sort of makes your computer feel a little bit faster. Unfortunately, there isn't a way to turn off like all animations, so there's animations built in across your entire operating system experience, and some people prefer just to turn them all off. And there are ways to do that, but they're not available through system preferences. So we'll get to that in a later screencast about ways you can configure options that aren't available through here. But as a starting point, I would definitely recommend going through each of these when you have the time, just for fun, and doing some research. Maybe you can configure things that you weren't aware of. There's cool keyboard shortcuts that you can configure, trackpad stuff, lots of really interesting things here so that you can really sort of make your computer your own. And this is the most important place to start in terms of tweaking certain settings in a way that works for you.